Rossi babes, and welcome back to our channel. If you're new to our channel, hello and welcome. My name is Charlize, and whether you're returning to our channel or new to our channel, thank you so much for joining us in today's video. And if you're new to our channel, we would love for you to stay and be a part of the Rossi family by subscribing to our channel down below and also turning on that little bell notification next to the subscribe button so you can be notified anytime we upload a new video. So for today's tutorial, we're going to be doing a simple nude manicure using some of our new wedding collection dip powder colors. So whether you're a bride-to-be or you're just someone that loves nude manicures like myself, then this video is perfect for you. And throughout today's video, I will also be sharing some of my favorite tips and tricks when doing my dip powder nails. So definitely stay tuned so you can see how to achieve this super simple, elegant nude dip powder manicure, and also some of my favorite tips and tricks because I promise they'll be helpful when you decide to do your next dip powder manicure. And before we get started with the tutorial, make sure to give this video a thumbs up as well. So the first step into always doing any dip powder application is to prep your natural nail. So the first tip I have is to use a cuticle softener in order to soften your cuticles and make them easier to push back or trim, whichever you prefer. Once you apply your cuticle softener, you should be able to tell what part of your cuticle needs to be removed as it's going to become really soft. So we're going to be taking our cuticle pusher and just using this to gently push back the cuticles, and since we did apply softener, it does make it really easy without hurting or damaging ourselves. Now our nails look nice and clean, and by pushing back our cuticle, we're also going to prevent any dip powder from getting on the cuticle skin. So this is going to lead to a more perfect dip powder application and outcome. For this set, I will be using nail tips, so I'm going to show you how to apply them and how to easily shape your nails. Starting with our step 1 primer from our Rossi Essentials Pro Kit, we're going to be taking this and just applying it to the very top of the nail where the nail tip would be attached to, like so. And now sizing my nail tips, so when using nail tips, you want it to align with your sidewall just like this. Now to attach the nail tip, we're going to be taking our step 2 base coat, which is also a part of our Rossi Essentials Pro Kit, and applying this in that same spot we applied our step 1 primer, and a little does go a long way. And apply slight pressure when holding the nail tip down on your natural nail. And I will be taking these little scissors to cut the nail tips down to about a medium length, but leaving a little extra length for my filing. So if you notice, the sidewall of the nail tip does have some pointing corners to them, which can affect our shape and also take a while to file down. So the next tip I have is to take some straight edge nail clippers and cut that pointy edge of the sidewall off. This is also going to help pre-shape our nails. I do like to do more of like a coffin shape and also somewhere in between ballerina. Now we're going to be perfecting our shape using our Rossi 150 edge hand file. And since we did cut a little bit of the sidewall of the nail tip, it makes shaping so much easier and quicker. So I just like to file the sidewalls of the nails at a slight angle just until I'm happy with the shape and I feel like it's the shape I'm going for. So I will be doing more of like a coffin shape, but also a little bit of like a ballerina shape, so somewhere in between. And a tip that I have is right when you feel like you have the shape you want, make it a little bit more narrow so that way when you apply the dip powder, you don't lose your shape too much. So now that our nail tips are shaped, the next tip is super important, and that is going to be to file down the nail tip line in with your natural nail. This is such a quick step that can lead to a perfect dip powder application, so you can either take a hand file or an e-file like our Rossi's rechargeable portable nail drill. An e-file can speed up and make the filing process so much easier, so we're going to be taking a 240 grit sanding band, which is safe for natural nails, and using this to blend in the nail tip line with our natural nail. So I will be turning on our nail drill to the lowest speed since we are working on our natural nail, and as you can tell, you do see the battery power. Like I said, it is rechargeable, which is super cool. So I'm going to be doing back and forth motions like this. When using a nail drill, you want to make sure to not leave the sanding band or the drill bit in one spot because that can cause friction on the nail, which can lead your nail to burn or have a burning feeling, and which can lead to damage. So you just want to make sure to be constantly moving the e-file. And I also like to take the sanding band a little bit around the cuticle area because it also does such a great job at getting rid of any excess or dead skin. And when working close to the cuticle area, always be cautious and careful to not cut yourself. And as we're doing this step, we are also going to be removing the shine from our natural nails, which is an important step in applying our dip powder. This is going to make sure that everything is going to apply properly and also stick onto the nail. So even if you're not planning on using any nail tips, always make sure to remove the shine from your natural nail. So we now have that nail tip line blended into our natural nail. So now we're one step closer to applying our dip powder. The last thing we have to do to prep our natural nail is to apply our step 1 primer. This step is super easy. You just want to apply this primer to your natural nail only. Now we're all set to apply our dip powder. To achieve today's manicure, you will be needing your step 2 base coat from our Rossi Essentials Pro Kit, as well as our Glam powder in the shade Undress Me. This shade is going to be such an elegant, beautiful nude color, and it's also going to have the slightest shimmer to it, but it's going to be such a pretty and natural shimmer. Whether you're a lovely bride-to-be or just someone that loves nude colors like myself, this is a must-have for your dip powder collection. Starting with our step 2 base coat, which is going to make the dip powder stick onto the nail, we're going to be applying this starting where the nail tip and the natural nail meet and just to the center of the nail, and then dipping into our powder at a 45-degree angle. After about 30 seconds, or once it's completely dried, we're going to be dusting away any excess. So we're going to be repeating that step to the rest of the nails, so starting where the nail tip and the natural nail meet and just applying it to the center, avoiding the sidewalls. Then dipping in our powder at a 45-degree angle and making sure it's completely dried after about 30 seconds before dusting away any excess. We will be doing 5 dips total into our color, but as you notice, we are starting off by working in small sections, and that is because we are going to be building an apex with these 5 dips. So we will be slowly working our way to the cuticle area and the sidewall, and this is just to avoid any bulkiness or thickness of our dip powder nails. And this apex method that we will be doing does work on both your natural nail and also if you're using nail tips like me. And if you're unsure of what an apex is, it's basically going to build structure to the center of the nail just to avoid any breaking, and it's also going to give our nails that nice curve from the side so they don't look super flat. And this is how the first dip into our color looks like. Now we're going to be working our way to the sidewall and the cuticle area with these next dips. So now for the second layer of color, we're going to be applying it a little bit below that first application we applied it. So you're just going to want to keep it in the center, avoiding the sidewall still, but just a little bit below where we previously applied it. And repeating that same step to the rest of your nails, avoiding the sidewall as best as possible and keeping it in the center of the nail still. We now have our second layer of color, which is a little bit lower than the first color application, but as you can tell, it's still in the center of our nails. Now for the third layer of color, we're going to be starting to apply it a little bit below the second layer of color, and this time taking it slightly to the sidewalls. And then dipping into our powder at a 45-degree angle and making sure it's completely dry, so about 30 seconds before wiping away any excess. And you're of course going to want to repeat that same step to the rest of the nails, so applying it a little bit below the second layer of color and this time taking it a little bit closer to the sidewalls. So now this is how the third layer of color looks. For the fourth layer of color, we're going to be taking our base a little bit below the third layer of color and this time taking it all the way to the sidewalls. As you can tell, with each layer of color, we're slowly starting to cover more of the nail with our colored dip powder. When applying this fourth layer of color, I always like to turn my nail just to make sure that I'm not missing any spots along the sidewall. So now I have my fourth layer of color on, and as you can tell from the side, we do have an apex starting to form. So now for the fifth and final layer of color, we're going to be starting a hairline away from our cuticle area and then applying it to the whole nail, including the sidewall. And now another tip I have would be to use either a dotting tool or even a toothpick to clean up the cuticle area in case you get any on your skin. And you want to do that while the base is still wet, so right after you dip your nail. And repeating that same step to the rest of our nails, so just applying the base a hairline away from the cuticle area and then applying it to the whole nail, including the sidewall, and then dipping into our powder at a 45-degree angle. I've been loving this apex method because I feel like it just makes applying my dip powder so much quicker. It only takes me about 30 minutes to do one hand now, and I also feel like it's super beginner friendly and it just gives my nails that perfect apex. And this is how our nails look with our 5 layers of color, and as you can tell by working in sections, our nails do not look thick at all. Next, we have to encapsulate the nail in clear. This is just to avoid our color from filing off whenever we start filing. So this is important since it's going to protect our color. In order to encapsulate the nails in clear, we're going to be applying the base coat to the whole nail and sprinkling the clear powder over the nail to avoid cross-contaminating our powders. Now that we have our nails encapsulated and clear, it's time to activate them. So we're going to be applying our step 3 activator, which is going to be hardening all of our dip powder layers, so that way when we file, everything is protected. Then letting that activator air dry for 2 minutes. To begin filing, I first like to take the 150 edge hand file and using this to just first fix the shape of the nail. So filing the sidewalls of the nails and also the top of the nail just to fix the length a little bit and make sure that they're even. I will also be buffing out the nail using the hand file just to get rid of any bumps or unevenness that may have occurred during the dip powder application process. These are the nails so far just filed and buffed out. Now if you notice here, I do have a little bit of dip powder in the cuticle area, so I really want to clean that up. So I like to do this by taking my e-file, so I'm going to be switching out this drill bit and putting in the safety cuticle drill bit. So with the e-file, I'm just going to be filing in that small area between the cuticle skin and where the dip powder nail starts. This is my #1 tip and trick to getting the perfect cuticle line and just getting it very clean in that area. Although hand files are great and can be used for a lot of the dipping process, for steps like these, hand files can be a little bit harder to use and just not as effective because they just can get into small little areas like this. So that is why I love using my e-file, and it's also good to just have one on hand, especially if you love to do your dip powder nails a lot. We now have our nails filed and cleaned up at the cuticle area, so now we're going to be applying our step 3 activator one more time. We always have to apply this after we're done filing, right before we apply our top coat. And letting that air dry for another 2 minutes, and before I go in with my step 4 top coat, I like to take a lint-free wipe with some alcohol and use this to wipe the nail away of any excess activator. This is going to prevent our top coat brush from hardening. Now we're ready to apply our step 4 top coat, so I like to apply the first layer using quick thin strokes just because this first layer does dry pretty quickly, so you have to work a little bit more faster with the first layer. And I let that air dry for about 3 to 5 minutes or until you find that it's completely dried. And now applying our second layer of the top coat just to get that extra glossy finish to the nails. And this second layer doesn't dry as quickly as the first, so therefore I can take my time when applying the second one. And letting that air dry once again for another 3 to 5 minutes or until it's completely dried. Once our nails are completely dried, we're going to be taking our Rossi Honey Peach Cuticle Oil, which smells amazing and is super hydrating on the cuticle area. Our super simple nude manicure, which is perfect if you're a bride-to-be or just someone that loves nude manicures. I love that this color isn't going to take away from any other details if you're a bride-to-be, such as your wedding ring, your wedding dress, or even your makeup or jewelry. This is going to be the perfect color to complement you. And that completes our nude simple manicure look. I really hope y'all enjoyed today's tutorial and found it helpful. And before exiting out the video, please make sure you're subscribed to our channel down below and that you have our post notifications turned on. And also don't forget to follow us on our social medias because we do post product updates, product restocks, and also just new products we'll be releasing. So you definitely want to keep up with us on our social medias, and you also might find your next manicure inspo on our socials. And we do have a Rossi Knows app that you can download onto your device where we also update you on products and product restocks and also just new releases. And you can also shop straight off of the app. But as always, thank y'all so much for watching, and we will talk to y'all in our next video. Bye, Rossi babes!